Welcome to Building Better Relationships with Chuck and Barb Lewis, equipping listeners and viewers with the biblical tools to conquer the difficulties faced in this life. Chuck has practiced crisis intervention since the 1980s and has been in ministry together with his wife Barb for over 20 years. They've taken the countless lessons and the knowledge they've acquired and have put them into this life skills class to share with you. We hope this blesses you.
Well, hello again. I'm Pastor Chuck Lewis, and this is my wife.
I'm Barbara.
And we're excited to be with you again for another broadcast on building better relationships. And we would really encourage you that if you like this program, to hit like, subscribe, and share. That really helps us in this program. So don't forget to do that if you can. We appreciate that. So today we're going to be talking about another life skill that we teach on a regular basis. And what's the life skill today?
We're going to be teaching the speaker-listener technique.
Speaker-listener technique. And you know, that sounds a lot easier than it is. But you know, have you ever heard two people talking at the same time?
Yes.
And guess who's listening?
Nobody.
And sometimes people feel like they've got to get the last word in. And proper communication is to have a speaker and a listener.
And to take turns so that you both know that you'll be heard.
Absolutely. And when if one of you is speaking, one of you should be listening.
Right.
Now, that's hard sometimes. It just depends on the topic that we're talking about, because sometimes you're hearing things that you don't agree with.
True.
And boy, to keep hearing somebody talk about stuff that you're thinking, oh, that's not right. I can't believe you said that. Why would you say such a thing?
Yeah.
You know, to keep listening and to keep validating. So we're gonna demonstrate what that looks like, because I know it helps me to see it done.
It does. And before we demonstrate it, why don't we say what the speaker listeners rules are?
Yes.
There's rules for the person that's speaking, and there's rules for the person that's listening.
That's right.
And you know, whenever a conversation gets volatile, it really helps to bring some structure into it. And I remember when I first learned this, I really liked having rules. But anyway, I'll describe those as we go. But let me tell you what the rules for the speaker are. And the speaker is speaking for yourself. Don't mind read for the other person. Just speak for you.
Yes.
Use I messages. I feel this when this happens. Don't bring up the kitchen sink. Just stick to one issue.
And that means don't talk about all kind of issues that are unresolved.
Right.
Because when you're talking about one issue, your mind goes on several other issues.
Right.
And so you bring them up too. That's not a good time to do it.
That's right. And don't bring up the past. And I know for me, whenever we did this, if it brought up something else I wanted to talk about, I would just jot it down on a piece of paper so that we didn't forget to go back to that. But for right now, we're just talking about one issue.
And I've heard people start talking about one issue and they bring up 10 other issues, and
right.
It gets to the point that you forgot about what was the original issue.
Right, that's
it's
so
like,
true.
What did we even start talking about?
Yeah.
So you stick to one issue at a time.
Right. And don't use words like always or never, because I know if Chuck says to me, you always do something or you never do something, I just feel dead in the water before we even start. So don't say always or never. Do use words like it seems like or it feels like. Take a time out if anger begins to escalate, and we talked about timeouts last week. Think about what you're going to say before you say it, and I've heard that called an internal edit. So when you're thinking something before it comes out your mouth, think about what you're going to say so that you can say it in a way that it can be heard, kind and respectful.
Right.
And don't just go on and on.
Right.
So don't talk so long that the other person couldn't possibly remember everything that you said.
Right, and you can wear a person down to where they even become maladaptive, to where you just have the floor and you keep the floor.
Yeah.
Why? And so
The other person never gets an opportunity to talk.
that's right, and that's not a good way to communicate. That's
Right.
called dominant conversation.
Right. So do you want to say what the listener rules are?
Well, the listener rules are just that. You listen. And the best way to let the other person know that you heard what they said is to paraphrase back what you heard them say. And I know this feels bogus. It did to me when I first started this. And I thought, oh, I'm not going to repeat back what they said. In fact, a lot of people don't like to do that. And I had a guy one time, I said to him, just to take it all on me, I said, just to make sure that I've communicated clearly, can you please tell me what you heard me say? And he said to me, what do I look like, a parrot? I'm not going to repeat back what you just said. Well, some people just won't do it. And so if they don't do that with you, you can still do the rules of good communication skills,
Yes.
even if they won't do it back. So
Right. So you can paraphrase back to them when they're talking, even if they won't do it for you.
absolutely, just for clarity. Again, so you don't depend on the other person cooperating. You do what you're learning to do, and these tools and skills help you. It'd be great if everybody practiced these things, but they don't. And so it has to start somewhere. And what I like to say is, Lord, let us start with me. And I'll do what I know works better. Okay.
Right.
And even when it feels bogus, sometimes I think, well, how's the other way working?
Yeah.
And so the other way is not working at all. So I think, okay, it might be an opportunity for a change to see things work a little bit better.
So what you're saying is it could feel mechanical when you're following this
Very.
way of doing things. But I know when we first got married, I was just learning these communication skills.
Yes.
And it really helped me to know there was a rule, that you were going to talk and that I was going to get an opportunity to speak too. But if things weren't going well, like the more volatile a conversation is, the more it really helps to have these rules. So
Right.
what are some things that you can say to mirror back? Like,
So you say, what I'm hearing you say. You don't say, what you're trying to say is, you don't say that because you're interpreting now.
right,
You say, what I'm hearing you say is, or it seems like you're saying, or whatever. So there's no magic words in this. It's just a matter of practicing the words that work the best for you. But you're wanting clarity. You're wanting to know that that person is saying what you think they're saying. And the only way you can know that is to demonstrate that by repeating back what you heard them say.
that's
And
good.
I like to refer to, it's like going through a drive-through restaurant. And if I pull up to the microphone and they say, can I take your order? And I say, yeah, I'll take it. And I don't like to eat this way because it's unhealthy. But if I say, yeah, I want a cheeseburger, a French fry, and a Coke. And they come back and say, okay, so you're wanting a fish sandwich, potato cakes, and a iced tea. Well, you're going to say, no, I want a cheeseburger, a fry, and a Coke. Okay, well, if that goes back and forth and they don't get your order right, what are you going to do? You're going to want to pull out a line and say, this person can't hear what I'm saying.
It's not listening.
Well, that's how it feels in communication. We
Yes.
interpret a lot of times what the other person is saying, and it's not accurate.
Right.
And that can cause a lot of explosions. It really can, and we can't get in a mindset to say, what I'm wanting you to say is, and then we repeat back what we're wanting to hear, and that can cause an explosion too. So you just repeat back, even if you don't agree with it. And that was the hardest
Yes.
thing for me. I thought, how can I do that when I don't agree with it? Well,
Yeah.
See, love believes all things, the Bible says, and so by an act of love, you're hearing things that you don't agree with, and you never will agree with, maybe, but by honoring that person, you're just hearing what they're saying. And when I was a victim advocate for the police department, that's what I did. I just repeated back what I heard the person say, and I could give you all kind of examples of how effective that worked. But we don't have time to go into all those examples. But believe me, it worked really, really well. And that's such a valuing thing when you can value the person enough to really hear them.
That's great.
And then that person says, wow, boy, they really care because they really heard what I said.
Right.
And you could be watching right now saying, oh, I would love it if the people in my life would really hear what I said and validate me for my feelings. Well, let us start with you. And you can start doing that. And the Bible says, given it shall be given. So as you give affirmation, maybe your family will join in that, and maybe they'll like to hear that and might join in it. But if your family doesn't, you can still get it from other people.
Right. So this isn't the time to rebut what they say or to criticize what they say or to answer them.
Right.
In fact, in Proverbs 18:13, it says to answer before listening is a folly and a shame. And in the Message Bible, it says, answering before listening is both stupid and rude.
Yeah.
And those aren't my words. That's the Message Bible.
Yeah, the Message Bible.
So what are some other rules for the listener?
So you can say to them, tell me more about that on a scale of 1 to 10. How impacted were you by what I said or what I did or what somebody else said or did? You can hear it if somebody else did it a lot easier than when you've done it.
Yes.
But you can ask questions to just find out more information.
Yes.
And you can say, what about that situation bothers you? How does that upset you?
That's good.
And then when you find out, you go, well, that's your problem. You react to everything. You just like your mother. Oh, my gosh. That's not a good thing to do. See, I know the wrong things to do, but you don't do those things. You just validate the person's feelings, and you say, wow, that must feel incredible. Tell me more about that. See, I like to kind of get in a mindset of like being a victim advocate in my relationship with my kids or my wife or in your case, it could be your husband. So you just learn to hear and validate. That's the purpose of this tool and skill.
Yes.
And you can't do it unless you let that person know that you really heard what they said. And the best way to do it is to repeat it back.
Yes, and I like the one you said about on a scale of 1 to 10, how impacting was that for you? Because that was a really important thing for me to ask you.
Yes.
Because you looked like it was about a 2.
Yeah.
You don't look like you're as upset as you really are. So if I ask you that, you can say, well, that was about an 8 or a 10. And I'll realize that you were actually affected in a much stronger way than how you appear. So asking those open-ended questions, like what you said, what bothers you about that, or tell me more about that, it invites the person to share more, lets them know that you really care about them and that you value what they have to say.
Absolutely.
So, some of the reasons why we want to listen to people is that the other person might know things that we don't. Their perspective is vital for us to have a complete understanding about what happened. And we already said it shows respect and value for you to listen to somebody. And as Chuck said, you don't have to agree, but you do always need to respect.
Right, absolutely. And what can feel like a little pebble to some people can feel like a boulder to somebody else.
Right.
I asked my daughter one time, I said, what size boulder was that I just threw on you? And she said, well, I have a little finger sticking out. That's the only thing showing.
Wow.
And in my mind, I could have went, oh my God, you're so dramatic. I mean, everything is so dramatic to you. Well, that wouldn't have been good.
Yes.
All I had to do right then is validate that and say, wow, tell me more about that. Because again, just because it feels like a pebble to us doesn't mean it feels like a pebble to them.
Right.
And so you find out why that was such a boulder, see? And you don't criticize, but that's a great way to find out more information about that person. And sometimes it's about their past.
Yeah.
Sometimes something just happened last week that causes that reaction, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But our job is to not analyze it to death. Our job is to just hear and validate.
Right, because we want to understand the other person. In fact, the speaker-listener technique is not for problem solving. It's to be heard and understood.
Yes.
So you'll get to the problem solving, but right now you're not really trying to solve the problem. You're just trying to hear and understand each other, understand their point of view.
Right. So the last thing is there's rules for both the speaker and the listener. And why don't you go over those?
Okay, well, we already did the speaker and then you did the listener.
Yes.
And so we're going to take turns. The speaker has the floor.
Go over these.
Okay. The speaker has the floor and the listener is listening. So the speaker keeps the floor while the listener paraphrases, and then you share the floor. After one person has spoken and feels like the other person has heard and understood what they said, the listener, then you share, and the other person becomes the speaker, and then you're the listener.
If we both know we're going to have a turn,
Yes.
then you won't be speaking over the other person.
Right.
And I think that's why a lot of people do that, because they don't
Yes.
think they're going to have a turn.
Yes.
So what's fair is if I have a turn,
Yes.
you should have a turn also.
Right. And I think it's important too to know that, like you said, we're all going to get our turn. That this really helps have some structure and gives us a way of really valuing and showing love to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. See, God called us together to love and appreciate each other and value each other. And different is not deficient. Different is just different.
Right.
So this is all these tools and skills are a different way of living, but the more you practice these things, and that's the key word to all these tools and skills that we teach on this program, is you've got to practice. Because practice doesn't make you perfect. It makes you better.
Right.
And the more you practice something, the better you get it. I've had to practice this and still do.
Yes.
And
me
I've been practicing this for over 40 years, and I still have to do it.
Yes.
And sometimes I'll start out doing it totally the wrong way, and then I think, well, that's not working very well.
Yeah.
How about pulling out the tools and skills that you've been teaching
Yes.
for years and try to do it that way? I said to you once, I remember saying, Barb, I just don't know what you need right now. I'm not sure what you need. And you said, I just need you to do what you teach. I go, oh,
Ouch.
boy. Wow, that's a thought, isn't it? If I just do what I teach, that'd be great.
I think it's good to practice this also doing something that isn't in the middle of an argument.
Good point.
We like to have people practice by telling each other what it was that attracted you to each other.
Yes.
What did you like about each other? What made you want to marry that person? Or go on a second date? What qualities did you see in them that you really liked? That's
a very, very good point, is when you start practicing this skill, don't talk about problems using this skill initially.
Yeah, right.
Talk about the trip that you took one time that you both really enjoyed and what you liked about the trip, and then practice repeating back what you heard the other person say.
Yes.
And then you can eventually move into problem solving using the skill.
Yes.
But if you don't use it for a lighthearted conversation, you might get discouraged and say, that doesn't work. And so you go right back to the old way.
Right.
But I'll tell you right now that if you will practice this and stay with it, don't give up on it,
Right.
and keep going, even though it feels bogus. And when we first started, we brought out sheets on the, as a guide,
Yeah.
and we followed the rules as a guide.
Yes, very helpful.
And that way we wouldn't forget what to do.
Right.
And that's okay. I mean, it's just fine to do that. We've taken our notes to restaurants and had a conversation right in the restaurant, and had the sheet right in front of us, and had the waiter ask us what that was.
Yeah.
And it's a great opportunity to tell them,
Yes.
what tools and skills are. So don't get discouraged today. If you've been doing it all wrong, cut yourself a lot of slack and cut each other a lot of slack.
Yes.
And say it's going to take some time to get this on board, but if I keep working on it, God's going to help me do it. And you'll find your communication changing for the better. Absolutely, it will work. Because believe me, we have worked it, haven't we?
Yes.
So God bless you today. It's been good to be with you. And don't forget to press like, subscribe, and share on this. And if you want to leave a comment on this program, please do that. If you want to get on our website and leave a prayer request on there on your relationship and how we can pray for you, we'll be glad to do so. God bless you today. It's been great to be with you. Go with God and He will go with you.
If you are blessed by this ministry, please subscribe, like, and share. You can also make donations at chucklewisministries.com. Join us to keep uncovering the tools to build better relationships together. Let's do this again next week.